Assalamu alaikum, dear students. M.Phill Zoology question bank for all universities of Pakistan. Which of the following organisms population follow S-shaped curves? S-shaped curve किस population के organisms में पाई जाती हैं? B is right. Insects में S-shaped curves पाई जाती हैं. The sum total of all ecological requisites and activities of a species is called carrying capacity. Option C is right. Dash bacteria oxidize sulfide to sulfur and sulfur to sulfate, that is Methanococcus. मिथेनोकोकस बैक्टीरिया सल्फाइड को सल्फर और सल्फर को सल्फेट में कन्वर्ट करने की एलियत रखते हैं. Sulfur has strong bonding affinity with which element in sediments, that is iron, Fe. Which among the following is the mechanism of evolution according to the modern evolutionary thought? Population? No. Natural selection? Yes. Natural selection right answer है. Which of these naturalists synthesized a concept of natural selection independently of Darwin? Alfred Wallace. Yes, C is right. The form of natural selection in which both extremes of phenotype range are favored is disruptive selection. B is right. Which of these is the smallest unit upon which natural selection directly acts? Population. B is right. The movement of alleles among the populations is termed as gene flow. D is right. In breeding populations, the level of heterozygosity decreases. Which among the following consists of all those individuals who contribute to the gene pool of the next generation in a population? Effective population. B is right. Which pattern in this hybrid zone leads to strengthening of reproductive barriers? That is reinforcement. Reinforcement के through reproductive behaviors of hybrid zone को strength किया जा सकता है. Which among the following is the terrestrial ancestor of whale? Pachycetus. Pachycetus terrestrial ancestor of whale है. The differential fitness of individuals leads to accumulation of favorable traits in population over generation. A is correct. Which of these is the smallest unit that natural selection can change? That is the B. A population's gene frequency is the major factor that smallest unit in the natural selection can be changed. The fossil record of diet served as evolutionary link between reptiles and birds. It's an important reptile और birds के दरमियान fossil record के तहत best evolutionary link कौन सा है? That is A. In other sense, Archaeopteryx is right. Who would have proposed the boundaries between each stratum mark the occurrence of different localized floods? Mr. Covier marked these boundaries. B is right. Contribution an individual makes to the gene pool of the next generation is relative fitness. Relative fitness के तहत इंडिविजुअल्स अपनी अगली जनरेशन के लिए जीन पूल का कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं. If an average 46% of the loci in a species gene pool are heterozygous, then the average heterozygosity of the same species should be 54%. Which of these evolutionary agents is most consistent at causing populations to become better suited to their environments over the course of generations? That is natural selection. D is right. A trend toward the decrease in the size of plants on the slopes of mountains as altitude increases is an example of accline. So A is right. In a Hardy-Weinberg population with two alleles, A and A, that are in equilibrium, the frequency of the allele A is zero point 0.4. What is the percentage of the population that is had homozygous for this allele? That is 16. So 16 is a right one option. In a Hardy-Weinberg population with two alleles, A and A, this is the same strategy, but for given allele A, frequency is mentioned here is 0.1 instead of 0.4. तो इसकी हेट्रोजाइगोसिटी मालूम करनी है तो वो D बनती है और 18 है. Next, in a Hardy-Weinberg population with two alleles, in the equilibrium with a frequency of allele is 0.2. तो इसके जीनोटाइप लेना चाहें तो 0.32. B is right option. You sample a population of butterflies and find that 42% are heterozygous at a particular locus. What should be the frequency of the recessive allele in this population? Option D is right. That is, all allele frequency cannot be determined from this information. इससे आप allele frequency calculate नहीं कर सकते. Gene flow is a concept best used to describe an exchange between species. No, between population. Yes, population के दरमियान हम allele concept को या फिर allele concept को gene flow को बेहतर तरीके से study कर सकते हैं. Natural selection is most nearly the same as differential reproductive success. Natural selection differential reproductive success की तरह होती है. Fossil evidence indicates that horses have gradually increased in size over geological time. Which of the following terms best describe this? This is directional selection. Option B is right. Which of the following pieces of evidence most strongly supports the common origin of all life on earth? That is A. All organisms use essentially the same genetic code. पहली ऑप्शन ठीक है. Heterozygote advantage should be most closely linked to which of the following? That is B. Stabilizing selection. A fruit fly population has a gene with two alleles, A1 and A2. Tests show that 70% of the gametes produced in the population contain A1 allele. If the population is Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, what portion of the flies carries both A1 and A2? Correct option is D, that is 0.42. Next, natural selection changes allele frequencies in population because some survive and reproduce more successfully than others. Individuals can survive than others. Right option is D. Which of the following various species concept distinguishes two species based on the degree of genetic exchange between their gene pools? That is phylogenetic. Which species concept is currently most popular among biologists? That is biological. What was the species concept most used by Linnaeus? That is morphological. The phenotypic characters which vary along a continuum in a population are termed as continuous characters. One species lives only in tree holes, another species lives only in streams. What sort of barrier exists between these two species? That is habitat. Option C is right. Females of one species choose mates based on song quality. Females of another species choose mates on their basis of size. What sort of barrier exists between these two species? That is the behavioral barrier, and A option is right. Males of one species are too small to perform amplexus. Amplexus is an action that stimulates ovulation. perform amplexes with females of all other species. What sort of barrier exists between these two species? That is mechanical. Option D is right. The biological species concept is inadequate for grouping. Option C is right. Asexual organisms. The most likely explanation for the recent decline in cichlid species diversity in Lake Victoria is fusion. Option B is right. The latest unit within which gene flow can readily occur is population. Thank you for watching Hussain Lectures. Allah Hafiz.